Are you guys seeing what I'm seeing? We've got major droughts going on across the country, across the world, as a matter of fact. You've got Lake Powell, you've got Lake Mead facing borderline dire straits when it comes to this drought here. Hydroelectric power at risk for millions and millions of Americans, spanning across multiple states. And yet, the average person who's aware of the drought in the vicinity is more or less worried about whether their grass is going to remain as green as it could possibly be, versus the actual threat of the actual systemic threat that this could cause. Just imagine, you know, seven states, up to 7 states without power. You know, that's certainly more critical than your grass being green. We are experiencing food insecurity across different parts of the world. You've got the Euphrates River. Now, many people have referenced biblical references related to the Euphrates River potentially drying up and the outcome that this could yield. And that's quite scary. You guys probably know more about that than I do. But a lot of people are still in, you know, with their heads in the clouds, and they're not even aware of what's going on here. Today is a big day. Jerome Powell of the Federal Reserve, he's planning to speak today, as long as I have my dates correct. Jerome Powell should be addressing the nation and the world, really, about the future of our economic stability, economic direction for the United States, and as a world power, potentially the world. The expectation of Jerome Powell today is that he will announce the rate hike, which we're pretty much all expecting, the Federal Reserve rate hike of most economists, including myself. I'm not an economist, but I'm expecting him to announce that there will be a rate hike today in the ballpark of 75 basis points. Some economists have actually predicted that he might go as high as 1% or 100 basis points. And I mentioned that not China, but Canada recently, the Canadian Reserve has raised their interest rates 100 basis points in the last month. And Canada's CPI, or core inflation rates, maybe 7.5%, somewhere in that ballpark. So their inflation rate is less than the United States, but they're being more aggressive with trying to attack or address their ever-increasing inflation problem. We here in the United States have allowed, well, I don't want to say we, it's not like you and I had a choice on addressing inflation. The Federal Reserve here in the United States has allowed inflation to get farther out of control than Canada has, at least based on statistical data. We were talking about real estate and, you know, the impact that the rising interest rates have had on the mortgage industry, new home sales, existing home sales, as well as real estate values. I'm not really seeing any changes in terms of real estate values. I'm willing to bet that whatever areas that have seen the most aggressive real estate increases over the last 20 months will probably experience the most aggressive real estate pullback. I don't know if I would call it a housing market crash or anything like that, but that's personally what I'm expecting. Now, in addition to that, I am seeing that, you know, some of the most desirable properties, they're still selling pretty quickly. They're still selling quickly, and so not all markets are created equal. Not all real estate markets are created equal. And you know, if you have a nice property in a highly desirable area, you'll still be able to sell it. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm seeing. None of this is financial advice. I'm just letting you guys know what I'm seeing. Now, recently, keep in mind, I've noticed that some of the higher end real estate is still moving quickly. Higher end, highly desirable real estate still moving quickly. I want you guys to keep that in mind. Walmart reported earnings recently this week, and they also reported rather disappointing and depressing future guidance. Target did similarly. Target stock, Walmart stock, they both reported a fairly pessimistic future for the company. Now, keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Let's keep in mind the layoffs that we've seen recently with Tesla, Redfin, companies like Tesla and Redfin. We're watching their stock prices. Heck, look at Shopify.com. They recently released 1,000 employees. They laid off 1,000 employees across the globe because they're a worldwide company. They let go 1,000 employees. And so we're seeing more and more layoffs, guys. However, in the face of all of these layoffs and the directional shift of our economic landscape, and mind you, we are expecting future guidance coming from Jerome Powell of the Federal Reserve later today to let us know, to give us some kind of a hint toward, okay, after whatever decision he makes with today's interest rates, what are we to expect in the future? Now, Bank of America recently announced earlier this week that they are expecting the Fed to cut interest rates later in 2023, September of 2023, to counteract the recession that we'll likely be in if we're not already in it now. Basically, they'll need to stimulate the economy, and in order to do so, they'll likely resort to cutting interest rates. So take that for what that's worth. Now, Mercedes-Benz earnings were just released, and they've actually raised guidance, and they see healthy and high demand in all of their core markets. Now, Mercedes-Benz is a luxury car maker, and keep in mind, in the face of Walmart seeing slower demand, lower margins, lower revenue expectations, lower profit margins, lower revenue expectations, companies like Mercedes-Benz are actually reporting higher revenue and adjusted earnings before the interest and taxes, or the EBIT, for the second quarter compared to last year, despite the effects of the semiconductor bottlenecks and the supply chain disruptions. Now, the supply disruptions actually led to a 7% drop in sales, according to Mercedes-Benz, but revenue still rose 8% from a year ago. So this particular German automaker, they also upped their guidance for the year, basically now seeing revenue for 2022 to be significantly above last year's level. So this luxury high-end automaker seems to be making a killing financially in this market, in spite of your bread and butter companies like Walmart and Target barely skimming by and having negative outlooks. What does this tell you about our economic landscape here? Now, despite the headwinds that this particular automaker is facing, they're still able to deliver, its products, and customers are, throwing their money at them still, in spite of recession symptoms and future expectations of a recession. To me, a bread and butter piece of transportation is like a Honda, it's a Toyota, it's a Ford, it's a Chevrolet. It's not a luxury car like a Mercedes-Benz, but yet they're doing just fine. What does this tell you about the direction of our economy? What does this tell you about our society? What does this tell you about the average, or maybe the not so average consumer? Now, Mercedes, they're selling tons of cars. So it's not like just one or two people are able to afford these luxury vehicles. We're seeing record amounts of credit card debt being racked up by Americans statistically. But yet Mercedes-Benz seems to be doing quite well. According to the CEO of the company, Demetrius Pasakis, he said that he would say that the semiconductor crunch, which is continuing in 2022, it's probably going to continue to persist. But he said that he observes in the second quarter is more of a stable supply of microchips, which are required to build these Mercedes-Benz. So more than likely, what we're seeing in terms of the chip shortage, microchip shortage, this is likely to improve, at least according to the CEO of Mercedes-Benz's expectations. So now, again, Mercedes-Benz USA is seeing, you know, they're seeing positive trends. From a demand perspective globally, this particular brand is saying that it continues to see healthy and high quality demand in all of their core markets. And, you know, they're saying that their books are solidly filled, and the demand is seen higher than the supply through the course of this year. So they have more people willing to buy their products, ready, able, and willing to buy their products than what they even have available for sale. So what does this tell us, guys? What does this tell us? We're seeing the shift. This is more of that shift, guys. And it's going to continue. Now, while United States customers are focused on buying Mercedes-Benz top-end or higher-end models, meaning their V8 powered cars, their SUVs, the CEO is actually saying that there is growing demand for its electric offerings as well, and Mercedes-Benz tends to go fully electric by 2030. That's like 8 years from now, guys. Fully electric. So that means if they're planning to go fully electric, that sounds like they're going to be eliminating all of their gas burning vehicles. This is huge. Now, technology-wise, Mercedes-Benz is typically on the cusp of cutting-edge technology, both from a safety and technological standpoint. They're the trendsetters. If Mercedes-Benz is looking to be 100% electric by 2030, what does this tell you about the other automobile manufacturers? The Hondas of the world, the Chevrolets of the world, the Fords of the world. What does this tell you? The GMCs, the GM cars of the world. Are they going to be 100% electric by in the ballpark of 2030 like Mercedes-Benz is planning? I'm just saying, you know. And so what does that mean what does that mean in terms of future gas prices? What does that mean for future diesel prices? So big changes are coming. And, you know, he went on to say that they launched their EQS, which is their electric vehicle sedan, at the end of last year. And they've had a great 7-month run with over 4,000 units being sold to just United States customers. This doesn't include the customers around the world. Now, they're for SUV and crossover focused customers in the United States. This also means higher interest in electrified versions of those vehicles as well. And it absolutely sounds like Mercedes-Benz is moving forward with going 100% electric. So we may literally be seeing a massive shift in how we transport and how we get around. There will come a point where the only gas-powered vehicles in our world will be what people have already purchased, and at some point, no more gas-powered vehicles will be manufactured. Are you ready to go electric? Do you trust the electric grid? I mean, we're already seeing rolling blackouts in parts of the country now. Can you imagine what will happen if this electricity demand shoots through the roof as more and more demand hits the marketplace? More and more vehicles are needing to be charged. Further and further demand being placed on our electrical grid. Can we expect more blackouts to occur? Are you prepared for this? So, you know, these are just some things that I'm seeing coming down the pipeline, both from a financial standpoint, but also from a national security standpoint. You lose electricity, businesses are shut down. No one's buying, no one's trading cryptocurrency, no one's exchanging cryptocurrency. Your banking system will likely be shut down. Banking is pretty much all digital now. You lose power, it's a big deal. We're talking about hospitals, and granted, hospitals have generators and uninterrupted power systems, UPS systems, but still, those are not permanent solutions. Those are band-aid solutions in when you have power outages. So unless there's some major investment in our electrical grid infrastructure, things could look bad in the future. I'm just projecting as things are now, but a lot can change, and I'll continue to keep you guys posted. This is an evolving situation. If you've made it this far in the video, consider hitting the like button. Also subscribe to the channel. Economic Prepper here. Hope you guys have a great day.